Okay, I think we're there. I hope. I don't know if I'm looking the way I meant to be looking, but it's fine. Okay, we there? This looks good. Great. Thanks. Okay, we hopefully have some ambiance that you can see and hear to help fit the vibe. We're playing today. We're gonna see how well this works. This is a whole new setup. But I've been wanting to do more scary stories on stream, and I feel like having like a nice little cozy experience on a vertical might actually be kind of fun to try. So you guys can hold me close with your phones, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we got fun stories, and depending on okay, why was that doubled? Why why did that sound off twice? What is going on with that? Hold on. I really got to figure that out. Sound might be a touch too loud, but it might just be me. I can turn it down. I wasn't sure if it was going to be too loud, so I can turn that down a bit more. Looks like you're roasting. Yeah. Grayson's roasting on an open fire, you know. You can read twice as long. Fine, you know what? I'll allow this. Just this once. I don't know what has changed to make that double up that way. It's very strange. Okay. Maybe... Because it's only there... Wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe I might have solved it. I don't think I solved it. Alerts. Okay, we're back. I don't know. That might have fixed it, that might not have fixed it. I really don't know what's going on with that. I think I sold it to Black Street's comedic genius. Don't quiet. Was it doubled yesterday? It's only doubled on my just chatting screen, and I don't know why. Like, so by the way, the reason this ended up being a little bit late is because I set up like a really nice like vertical layout for the stream, and then I clicked go live with it, and it told me that was like it basically like wasn't gonna it didn't want to use the scene I set up. I couldn't figure out why not, and so I had to like just like smash together like a quick different scene. So I've kind of a bit messier than I had hoped, but hopefully we'll make it work. But anyway, so the idea tonight is that I've got some scary stories, um, and I've been playing with ChatGPT. I finally decided to start playing with ChatGPT maybe like a week ago, and it turns out it can write scary stories for you. And so I've got some pre-made stories, but I thought it might also be fun for us to work together to write some scary stories as well to read together. And well, this tonight, this morning. I don't know what year it is, Lala. I'm busy. Got things I'm doing. I usually stream in the evening. I guess it is morning still, technically, even where I am. But so yeah, I'm losing track of my mind. But anyway, I thought this could be a fun way to like find some spooky stories. We'll see how spooky these are. I haven't actually like taken time to read them. I basically just like perused them long enough to make sure they at least like had like logical flow. But I thought this could be fun. And then I don't know, yeah. Then who was phone? Exactly. No, I don't know, ChatGPT is weird. Like it's kind of janky, it's kind of smart sometimes. It's really weird. I kind of like it. But yeah, we got some cool spooky stories we're going to read together. And we can collectively decide if we could have told it better. Okay, so here I've got a few different stories, and we can do a quick vote on what we want to read. We have The Vanishing House, The Thing That Watches, The Gravekeeper's Warning, and The Depths. Oh, and The Drowned Ones. We have 5 stories. They're all supposedly... ChatGPT assured me they would be super scary, and also not against TOS. I was very clear. I was like, I want to read these on stream. Please don't get me banned. So hopefully nothing weird happens. I don't know. Depths is the name I remember, says Lola. Could do The Depths. We'll start with that one. So, yeah, and then we'll probably read a couple of these pre-made ones, and then if people have any suggestions, maybe we can like try to like make a story on the spot. I think that could be exciting for us to work together to create something spooky. So, all right. Clicked with my short-term memory. It is the shortest name, to be fair. So this is actually a really fancy one, lol. This one comes with chapter titles. It's not too long, but for some reason it does have chapters. So, you know, let's see how this goes. I really did have to, like, because it kept trying to write, like, 3-sentence scary stories, no matter, like, what I said. I finally figured out how to make it write longer ones, but they're still kind of weird. Anyway, so, Chapter 1, The Descent. Ben and Tyler had always loved exploring. As kids, they spent their summers sneaking into abandoned buildings, wandering through forests, and venturing into places they probably shouldn't have. So when they heard about Echo Cavern, an unmarked cave deep in the woods, they knew they had to check it out. Local legends said people went in and never came out. Others swore they heard voices coming from inside, whispering things that no one should ever hear. But Ben and Tyler didn't believe in ghost stories. "It's just a cave," Tyler said as they reached the entrance. "People get lost, that's all." Ben peered inside. The opening was wide, but slanted downward into darkness. The air was damp, carrying a faint, rotten smell. "Only one way to find out," Ben grinned. They strapped it on their headlamps and stepped inside. At first, it was just a normal cave. Cool air, jagged walls, the occasional bat flitting past. The ground sloped downward, taking them deeper. They laughed and joked as they walked, their voices echoing in the silence. But after about 15 minutes, the tunnel began to narrow. The walls pressed in. The ceiling dropped lower. Then they found the first markings. Chapter 2, The Voices in the Dark. It's kind of read like a Hardy Boy mystery story. Scratched into the rock were symbols. Not words, but strange, curved shapes. Repeating over and over. "The hell is this?" Ben muttered, running his fingers over the carvings. "Some kind of old writing?" Tyler guessed. But Ben shook his head. "I don't think so. This looks wrong." Tyler shrugged. "Probably just some idiot messing with explorers." But Ben wasn't so sure. The carvings felt ancient, like they'd been there long before people even knew the cave existed. Then they heard it. A whisper. Faint, distant, below them. Ben and Tyler froze. "You heard that, right?" Ben whispered. Tyler nodded slowly. "It's just the wind." But there was no wind. Then came another whisper. Closer this time. Ben spun his flashlight around, but the tunnel behind them was empty. Tyler laughed nervously. "All right, that's freaky. Maybe we should head back." Ben hesitated. Something in his gut told him they weren't alone. But he wasn't about to chicken out. "Just a little farther," he said. Reluctantly, Tyler followed. Chapter 3, Something Below. The deeper they went, the worse the cave smelled. The damp air now carried the scent of rotting meat. Ben gagged. "The hell is that?" Tyler covered his nose. Maybe a dead animal? But something about the smell felt wrong. More smelly. They turned a corner and found something worse than a dead animal. Bones. Piles of them. And not just animal bones. Human bones. Some fresh. Some ancient. Holy. Tyler took a step back, panic rising in his voice. This isn't normal, man. Ben's stomach twisted. We need to leave. Now. But as they turned, they saw it. A hole in the ground, wide and deep, vanishing into pure blackness. And from that blackness came movement. Something climbed up. At first, Ben thought it was a trick of the light, but no. He could see limbs. Long, skeletal arms pulling a body upward. It had no eyes, just empty sockets. But Ben knew it was looking right at them. Then it grinned. Its mouth was too wide, too filled with teeth. And the whispering, it was coming from inside it. Tyler grabbed Ben's arm. Run. Chapter 4. The Chase. They bolted. The tunnel twisted and turned, their flashlights bouncing wildly. Behind them, the thing crawled, moving unnaturally fast. Its limbs scraped against the stone, its breathing a guttural, wet rasp. It wasn't just chasing them. It was herding them. The tunnel they had come through was gone. Instead, new paths twisted before them, leading them deeper. No, no, no! Tyler shouted. Ben turned a corner and stopped so fast that Tyler slammed into him. A wall. They were trapped. Tyler turned, his breath ragged. We went the wrong way. No, Ben whispered. It led us here. Silence. Then, the whispering returned. Closer. They turned their flashlights toward the darkness. The thing stood just feet away, its mouth twisted into a grin, revealing row after row of jagged teeth. Then it spoke. Not with words, but with their own voices. Don't go in the cave. It was repeating the warnings people had given them. Tyler took a step back. Ben? But Ben was staring at something behind the creature. A small gap in the wall, barely big enough for them to squeeze through. Get ready to run, Ben whispered. The creature stepped closer. Now! Ben shoved Tyler toward the gap. Tyler scrambled through first, the stone scraping his skin. Ben followed, squeezing through just as the thing lunged. It screamed. Not in pain. In rage. Ben and Tyler tumbled through the opening, landing hard on the cold stone floor. And suddenly, they were outside. They gasped, gulping in fresh air. Behind them, the cave entrance was still there, but the gap they had squeezed through? Gone. The whispering stopped. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Tyler whispered, "We should have never gone in." Ben didn't argue, because even as they walked away, he knew something terrifying. The creature had let them go. It had wanted them to leave, to tell others, to bring more people. The end. There you go. The Depths. It's actually not that bad at writing stories. I'm kind of shocked. Like, the chapter titles are kind of weird because, it's like 3 paragraphs and then a chapter. So it kind of feels like those like scary stories to tell in the dark kind of books. Just real fast, quick. Not bad. Plot was mid, but the structure was good. It's not terrible. I'm kind of shocked. So yeah, we got some other ones we can read. We got The Drowned Ones, The Vanishing House, The Gravekeeper's Warning, The Thing That Watches. Or if people are feeling froggy, we could type something new and see what kind of story can come up with. Fine. I could make a poll, making me do hard work. How do you spell story? There. Lol, you gotta be able to listen faster. I'm writing things. What was the last one I said? Wait, hold on. Don't tell me. I remember. Also, how's everyone doing tonight? Or today, whatever year it is. I think I crashed chat, good. It just goes straight through my brain. Okay, so those are all the stories we have, or we can write a new story. Okay. Yeah, my idea for future streams is I kind of just like want to have just like a fun pile of stories. I kind of wrote these all, got these all made together at the last second just because I wanted to do a stream like this morning, and I didn't have enough time to like sift through the internet. But like I do want to find like a good mix of like, I don't know, real encounters, just good old fashioned fictional stories. But Laws, I'm playing 14, got my Black Mage to 100 just now. Wow, that's pretty good. Alright. Looks like we're going to read the Gravekeeper's Warning. Where's that one? Sorry, I have to scroll around a little. Ah, here it is. Alright. The Gravekeeper's Warning. The town of Willow's Rest had one rule. Never enter Blackwood Cemetery after dark. It wasn't just superstition. Everyone had heard the stories. The whispers of strange figures moving through the headstones, the eerie lights that flickered among the graves, the sobbing that seemed to come from nowhere. But Caleb didn't believe in ghost stories. At 17, he thought the town's warnings were just small-town paranoia. So when his friends dared him to spend a night in Blackwood Cemetery, he didn't hesitate. Piece of cake, he smirked. Armed with nothing but a flashlight, a sleeping bag, and a pack of snacks, he hopped the rusted gate just as the sun disappeared beyond the trees. The cemetery stretched out before him, rows of weathered headstones standing like silent sentinels in the moonlight. The air was still, unnervingly so. Even the usual night sounds, crickets, distant owls, were absent. As Caleb set up his spot beneath an old twisted oak, a chill ran down his spine. It felt like someone was watching him. He shook it off. Just nerves. Hours passed, the night deepened, the shadows thickened. Then, around midnight, he heard it. A whisper. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. He sat up, clicking on his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, but nothing moved. Probably just the wind. Then, it came again. Closer. Leave. Caleb's heart slammed against his ribs. He stood, sweeping the flashlight across the graveyard. The beam landed on something. A man. Or, at least, it looked like one. Tall and thin, dressed in an old-fashioned suit, standing motionless near a crumbling gravestone. His face was shadowed by the brim of a hat, but Caleb could feel his gaze, heavy and unmoving. He swallowed hard. Hey. The figure didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. Then, in an instant, it was gone. Caleb stumbled back, his breath coming in ragged gasps. His instincts screamed at him to leave, but his pride wouldn't let him run just yet. Then, something else happened. The gravestones began to shift. Not physically. No, they stayed exactly where they were. But the names changed. Caleb's flashlight trembled as he shone on a nearby headstone. The name carved into the stone was his own. He staggered backward, barely suppressing a scream. No, 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 this isn't real. Then the whisper returned. Run. Caleb didn't hesitate. He grabbed his things and bolted for the gate, but the cemetery had changed. The path was gone. The tombstones stretched endlessly in every direction. The twisted oak, once behind him, was suddenly in front of him. He was trapped. The whisper turned into a chorus. Soft voices, sobbing, pleading, some angry, some broken. Then, a cold hand touched his shoulder. Caleb spun around. The figure in the hat was there, inches from him now, and this time he could see its face, or rather, the lack of one. Its skin was stretched tight over a skull, its eyes hollow voids of nothingness. Its mouth hung open, gaping, as if frozen mid-scream. And then it reached for him. Caleb screamed and ran. This time the gate was there, rusted, crooked, open. He didn't think, he just lunged through, hitting the ground hard on the other side. The second he crossed, the whispering stopped. The air was normal again. The cemetery was still, just rows of quiet graves beneath the moonlight. But the figure was still there, standing just inside the gate, watching. Then slowly, it lifted a hand and shut the gate. Caleb scrambled to his feet and ran, not stopping until he reached his house. He never spoke about that night, never told his friends what really happened. But he never doubted the town's warnings again, and he never, ever returned to Blackwood Cemetery. Vertical stream, says a dune. Yeah, it's a great stream. Get out of here then. All it says dun dun dun. Shut the gate. Yeah, you know. Okay, sorry. Nearly died. Let me just get a sip of tea here. So how's Satun doing? I kind of like these, actually. They really just read like, not like generic, but they're just like very like classic, like horror stories. You know? It's kind of cool, kind of fun, kind of different. Ugh. Let's see here. So somebody else voted for The Thing That Watches. Let's see here if I can find that one. There it is. Ooh. Okay. Just a second. There we go. Sorry. I had to die real quick. Now I'm back. Resurrected. Let's see here. Yeah. Alright. The Thing That Watches. Well, it says you're going to turn into your own ghost story. Look, I swear, like, my cough is, like, I don't have a cough until I start talking too much. And then my throat wants to die. So, maybe doing a stream where it's purely just talking was a mistake. We'll find out. Who knows? Alright. The Thing That Watches. Chapter. This one also has chapters. Some of these have chapters, some of these don't. I don't know when it decides to do chapters. But anyway, Chapter 1. The Hike. Jason, Eric, and Melissa had been hiking together for years. It was their tradition. One big trip every fall before winter set in. This time, they chose Black Hollow Forest. Also, I noticed there's like certain words that ChatGPT really loves for scary stories, like hollow, black. Like a lot of the scary stories like use those like terms for whatever. Black Hollow Forest, a remote, sprawling wilderness in the mountains, known for its towering pines, thick fog, and the eerie quiet that hung in the air like a held breath. Hollow, Hollow. It was supposed to be a 3-day trek. Just them, their gear, and miles of untamed woods. They had planned the route meticulously, marked the camping spots, and even checked the weather. Everything was set. The first day was uneventful, though Jason noticed how silent the woods were. No birds, no insects, just the sound of their boots crunching leaves and the occasional distant rustle of trees. Melissa joked that it felt like the forest was watching them. That night, as they sat around the fire, they heard it for the first time. A sound in the distance. A low, guttural hum. Eric frowned. Wind? Melissa shook her head. There's no wind. The noise came again. Closer this time. It wasn't quite an animal sound, but it wasn't human either. A deep, vibrating note that seemed to rattle the ground. Jason grabbed his flashlight and shone it into the darkness beyond the trees. Nothing. Just endless, stretching shadows. Probably a bear, he muttered. Well, he wasn't convinced. They slept in shifts that night, but nothing else disturbed them. Chapter 2. The Trail That Shouldn't Exist. Very ominous. The next morning, they packed up and moved deeper into the woods. Their second campsite was supposed to be near a river, but by midday, they realized something was off. The trail they were following wasn't on their map. The trees looked wrong, taller, denser, gnarled like old fingers reaching toward the sky. The underbrush had thickened, closing in on them like walls. We should turn back, Melissa said, her voice uneasy. Eric checked his compass. That's weird. The needle keeps spinning. Jason pulled out the GPS. No signal. A branch snapped behind them. They turned, expecting to see an animal, but there was nothing there. Just trees. Then Jason saw it. A figure. No, not quite a figure. A shape. Tall and impossibly thin, with elongated limbs that blended into the shadows of the forest. Its head was wrong, too small for its body, tilted at an unnatural angle. It was standing between the trees, watching them. Then it was gone. Melissa whispered, Did you see? Keep walking, Jason said. Now. Chapter 3. Something in the Fog. The sun was starting to set, but they kept moving. The air grew colder, and a thick fog rolled in, snaking through the trees. Eric was in the lead when he stopped suddenly. The trail's gone. What? Melissa moved beside him. The path they had been following had vanished, swallowed by the fog. No footprints behind them, no landmarks, just an endless stretch of trees. We should set up camp here, Jason said. Figure it out in the morning. They built a fire, but it did little to push back the cold. The fog pressed against them, thick and suffocating. Then came the noise again. That low hum. Closer. Eric gripped his knife. We're not alone. A twig snapped, then another. Jason grabbed his flashlight and shone it into the trees. The beam landed on something. Eyes. Not human. They were deep-set, black pits that reflected the light but absorbed everything else. The creature stood just beyond the fog, its form barely visible, long-limbed, with skin stretched tight over its bones, its fingers ending in claw-like points. And then it moved. Fast. Jason barely had time to yell before it was gone, disappearing into the mist. Pack up, now. They tore down the camp, stuffing supplies into their packs. The sound was all around them now. Branches cracking, the hum vibrating in their bones. Then, from the fog, came a whisper. Not in English. Something ancient. Something wrong. Jason grabbed Melissa's wrist. Run. Just a second. Okay, sorry. Chapter 4. The descent. They sprinted through the trees, the fog swallowing them whole. Jason could hear Melissa panting behind him, Eric cursing under his breath. The whispers followed them, slithering through the air, wrapping around their minds. Jason's foot caught on a root. He tumbled forward, hitting the ground hard. Melissa screamed. Jason looked up just in time to see it. The creature was above them, crawling down from the trees like a grotesque spider, its limbs bending the wrong way. Its mouth, if it even had one, was a slit in its featureless face. It reached for Melissa. Eric lunged, swinging his knife, but the thing moved, blurring out of the way, too fast to track. Then Jason saw the worst part. There wasn't just one. In the fog, multiple shapes moved. Dozens, maybe more, all watching, all whispering. Then, as quickly as it had begun, everything went silent. The fog thinned. The trees returned to normal. The path was back. Melissa sobbed. Eric was shaking. The creatures were gone. Chapter 5. The Warning. They didn't stop running until they reached the trailhead. The car was still there, untouched. As they piled in, Jason looked back one last time. The woods were quiet. Still. Too still. Then, just as Eric turned the key, Jason saw it. In the tree line. Watching. Waiting. It lifted one impossibly long hand. And waved. Jason's breath caught in his throat. Eric hit the gas. They never spoke of Black Hollow Forest again, and they never went back. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind is just right, Jason swears he can still hear the hum. Oh, this is too still. It's a classic line, Lala. Look, the machine is trying its best. Cloud says, hello, Gray, can't stay, talking to friend. Oh, sorry, Cloud, I maybe already left, but hello and goodbye. Sorry, it was mid-story. Nice of you to stop in. Good to see you. Or have seen you. Yeah. So, the story is definitely, like, tend toward, like, I don't know what you'd call it, like, all of the tropes, the cliches. It's got to have, like, all the buzzwords to, like, make it extra spooky. But, alright, so someone requested the drowned ones, it looks like. So we'll do that one next. And then, so after we do the drowned ones, I want to see if we can come up with a story together. So I want people to start suggesting things in chat for, like, different prompts we can use. Or, like, settings you want, or characters you want. Oh, it says they all got some cheese. No! Not the cheese. Hold on. This stream probably won't go for, like, too terribly much longer. Like, I was kind of aiming to do, like, maybe, like, an hour or so. So probably do, like, this story, then maybe, like, one or two more. I just kind of wanted to test out how this might work, if it could at all. But anyway, this one also has chapters. That's how you know it's a good story. All right. The Drowned Ones. Chapter 1. The Legend of Stillwater Lake. Everyone in Millhaven knew the legend of Stillwater Lake. It was a beautiful place, calm, serene, its glassy surface reflecting the towering pines that surrounded it. But beneath that still surface, the townsfolk whispered. But beneath that still surface, the townsfolk whispered, lurked the drowned ones. They weren't just ghosts. They were something worse. According to the stories, they were the ones who never left. The ones who had sunk beneath the water's surface and never come back. No bodies were ever recovered. No one knew where they went, but on still nights, when the lake was quiet, people swore they could see figures standing beneath the surface, just below the waterline, watching. Ryan and his best friend Caleb had heard the stories their whole lives, but they weren't kids anymore, and they weren't afraid of ghost stories. So when Caleb suggested a night swim in still water, Ryan hesitated only for a second before nodding. They had no idea they wouldn't be swimming alone. That's foreshadowing. Very clever writing. Chapter 2. A Midnight Swim. The moon hung low over the lake as they reached the shore. The water was as still as glass, smooth and unbroken. The town was miles away, and out here, surrounded by trees and darkness, it felt like they had stepped into another world. Ryan hesitated at the edge. Last chance to back out, Caleb grinned, already pulling off his shirt. Ryan exhaled. Screw it. They waded in, the cold water sending a shiver through them. It was deeper than expected, the lake bed vanishing after just a few steps. Soon they were treading water, floating in the eerie silence. Then Caleb went under. Ryan waited for him to resurface, expecting him to come up laughing, but the seconds stretched on. Caleb? Nothing. Ryan spun in circles, scanning the water. Where was he? Then something grabbed his ankle. A hand. Cold. Wrinkled. Wrong. It really likes the word wrong. Ryan kicked violently, his heart slamming against his ribs. The grip released, and he shot toward the shore, gasping for breath. Then Caleb surfaced. What the hell, man? Caleb coughed, blinking at him. Why'd you freak out? Ryan stared, chest heaving. Something grabbed me. Caleb frowned. Dude, I was under for like 10 seconds. But Ryan shook his head. He had felt it. That grip wasn't Caleb's. And in the moonlight, he saw it. A ripple, just beyond Caleb. And below the surface, a face. Chapter 3. The Figures Below. Ryan couldn't move. There, just beneath Caleb, were eyes. A pale, sunken face looking up at them. Then it opened its mouth. A cloud of dark water billowed up from below, curling around Caleb's legs. Move! Ryan lunged, grabbing Caleb and yanking him toward the shore. Caleb screamed as if something had latched onto him. The water erupted with hands, pale, skeletal fingers clawing at his legs. Caleb thrashed, kicking violently, but the hands pulled him under. Ryan dove after him without thinking. Beneath the surface, everything was distorted, but he could see them. Figures, dozens of them. Twisted, waterlogged faces, their hollow eyes locked onto Caleb as they dragged him down. Ryan reached out, grabbing Caleb's arm. He pulled with everything he had. The figures shrieked, a soundless wail that vibrated through the water. And then they let go. The boys broke the surface, gasping. They swam hard for the shore, their limbs burning until they collapsed onto the sand. Caleb was shaking. His leg was bleeding. 5 deep scratches carved onto his skin. Ryan turned back toward the water. The lake was still again, but just below the surface, he could see them, watching, waiting, and smiling. Chapter 4. The Last Warning. They didn't stop running until they reached the car. Ryan's hands shook as he started the engine. Caleb stared at the lake, his face pale. They were real, he whispered. Ryan didn't answer. Then Caleb turned his leg toward the dashboard light. The scratches were deep, the skin around them already bruising. But that wasn't the worst part. There were letters, scratched into his skin, forming a single word. Stay. I thought they had like 5 scratches before, whatever. That's only 4, that's fine. Ryan swallowed hard. They let us go, Caleb whispered. Ryan tightened his grip on the wheel. I don't think they let us go, man. Caleb turned to him, eyes wide. Ryan stared straight ahead, his pulse pounding. I think they were just warning us. Now, this story is special because it contains an epilogue. The next morning, another body was found at Stillwater Lake. A fisherman saw it floating near the dock, bloated and pale, its mouth open in a silent scream. The police said it was an accident, but Ryan and Caleb knew better, and they never went back. The end. Also, the water was so still, that's why it was called Stillwater Lake. Man, I'm gonna go do a night swim in a non-haunted lake, let alone a spooky lake. Because I don't care if it makes me a bad person. If you just get grabbed by a spook, I'm leaving you. Wow, Lala. Unless it's 2 scratches for the Y and stay, I guess. Maybe. I guess that could be true. And there are tiny details that it kind of seems to lose track of every now and then. Like, I think... Now, I guess it doesn't really specify, like... I think one of these stories, though, like, it specifies the characters as being, like 13 or something, but then they also, like, drive away from the scene. So, like, how do they drive if they're 13? That's some tasty, tasty tea. This is those country kids, I guess. I mean, true, true. All right, so we can either read The Vanishing House, or if anyone has a suggestion for a scary setting for a story or a scary idea, and we'll see if we can make one on the spot and see if it's extra super spooky. Let's see here. Hold on just a second. I'm tangled up in my headphone wires. Dagnabbit. Also, my brain's suddenly devoid of scary ideas because there's too many. Yeah, it's you'll be getting so scared from the last few stories, Lala, that your brain's getting short-circuited. Lala says, or Smo says, set off my thalassophobia? A fear of lassos? I could do that. Scary cowboy story. Also, I'm kidding. I know you meant Smo. I know. It's more funny, though, to think that Smo's scared of spurs and boots. Went over this on your Dredge stream. I know. Okay, let's see here. Write a scary story. Let's see. Cowboys are terrifying. It's true. I watched Wild Wild West. I assumed that was a documentary. Let's see. How do you spell thalassophobia? Thalassophobia. I don't know if that... Wait. Sorry, I'm just writing that. Make the story approximately, we'll say, 100 words. Someone says, you might have butchered the word, but you got me. It's all good. Don't worry. I figured out. I just said to write a score. I said write a scary story that would be extra scary to someone with a fear of open water / the sea. And then the story's going to be approximately 1,200 words long. It's not super long, just a few minutes. Oh, this is our... I gotta say, it writes it quick. Like, it's already writing chapter 3. I guess we can go ahead and get started. Start reading it before it's even finished. That's how we know it's going to be extra scary. No idea what's going to happen. Oh, it's a scary ghost cowboy. Write a scary story about lassos. Scary. Actually, scary ghost cowboy could be a really funny one. Did you remember to tell it to follow YouTube TOS? No. I mean, I have an overall, so I have this under a... There's actually all kinds of crazy stuff you can do in ChatGPT, because I have this under a project folder. And in the project description, I said specifically, like, I want to read these on stream, and so they need to be, you know, like, not too violent, not too whatever. So it's kind of got, like, a big general list of things it'll do. And then there's a few things I just have to specify for it to actually... It took me a while to, like, figure out how to make this work in a way that at least wasn't terrible, but... I see that when everyone miraculously escapes. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think the Vanishing House, I can't remember. I think somebody might die in that one. That's the only one I've read myself. But for the most part, everyone miraculously gets out. So, I don't know what's going to happen with this one, because, like, this is not one we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, the title is The Abyss Below. Chapter 1, The Last Dive. Let's see. Danny had always feared deep water. He couldn't explain it. Not really. It wasn't just drowning. It was what might be down there. The blackness beneath him. The cold, endless unknown. So when his best friend Jake convinced him to go on a diving trip off the coast of Bermuda, Danny was hesitant. Oh, you missed the chapter title. It's The Last Dive. You'll be fine, Jake grinned, strapping on his diving gear. We'll stay near the boat. Just an easy dive. Danny exhaled, staring at the vast ocean stretching out before them. The deep blue looked almost black in the distance, an abyss that seemed to swallow the light. He didn't want to go in, but Jake had already jumped. Swallowing his fear, Danny adjusted his mask and followed. The water closed around him like a silent embrace. At first, it wasn't so bad. The coral reef beneath them was colorful, teeming with fish. Jake motioned for Danny to follow as they drifted downward. But Danny couldn't shake the feeling of something else watching them. Then he saw it. A shadow, deep below. Far too deep for anything normal to be swimming there. He tried to tell himself it was just his imagination. But the shadow moved. Chapter 2. Something in the depths. Danny tapped Jake's arm and pointed. Jake followed his gaze, squinting into the dark. Then, Danny saw something he wished he hadn't. A shape. It was distant, but massive. Not a shark. Not a whale. Something else. It wasn't moving toward them, just drifting. Watching. Jake gave Danny a thumbs up as if to say, "It's fine, let's keep going." But Danny didn't want to. The deeper they went, the more he felt it. A pull, like the ocean itself wanted him to sink. Then, a sound. Muffled. Low. A deep vibration that rattled in his chest. Danny turned frantically, scanning the empty blue. There was nothing there. But he could feel it. Something was below them. Something enormous. A tremor went through the water. Danny grabbed Jake's arm, but his friend seemed mesmerized, staring downward. Then, Jake's light flickered, and Danny realized something terrifying. The ocean was getting darker. Chapter 3. Dragged Down. The sunlight above was fading. Too fast. It wasn't clouds. It wasn't depth. Something huge was moving above them. Danny barely had time to register it before Jake was yanked downward. A force, impossible, unseen, ripped him into the depths. Danny screamed into his regulator, bubbles streaming from his mask. He had to follow. Kicking hard, he dove, his flashlight barely piercing the thickening darkness. Jake was below, struggling against something. Danny saw, just for a moment, tentacles. Oh no, guys, this might be against TOS. Not like an octopus. Longer, thinner, not flesh, but something else. Something wrong. Jake's body twisted as he tried to fight. His eyes locked onto Danny's, pleading. Danny reached for him. Their fingers touched. Then Jake was gone. Yanked into the abyss so fast that he disappeared into the black. Danny stared, frozen. Then he felt it. A hand, cold, clammy, wrapping around his ankle. It pulled, and suddenly, Danny was sinking. Chapter 4. The Thing That Waits Below. Panic surged through him as the pressure crushed his chest. He kicked, flailing, but the grip tightened. His flashlight illuminated a face. Or something like a face. It wasn't human. He wasn't even sure if it was alive. It was massive, pale, with sunken holes where eyes should have been. Its skin was translucent, stretched thin over something pulsating underneath. In its mouth, a gaping black maw lined with writhing feelers opened. Danny screamed, his air running low, his body thrashing. Then it spoke, not in words, not in sound, but in his mind. A voice like the ocean itself, deep and infinite. You should not have come. Danny felt his vision fading. He was going to die. Then, light. The weight vanished, and he was rising. Chapter 5. The Surface. Danny broke the surface, gasping. The boat was there. The sky was still blue. The world still existed. But Jake was gone. The crew dragged him aboard, asking what happened, but Danny couldn't speak. He just stared at the water. Calm. Still. But he knew the truth. Something waited down there. Something that had taken Jake. And someday, it would come back. For him. The end. Oh, it says Bermuda. Why does someone with a deep fear of the ocean even know how to scuba dive anyway, or be on the boat? Lolly, you're wanting like super heavy backstory, like what traumatized him initially? Oh, it says Cthulhu. Uh-oh, feelers, telepathic, dead feelers. I like how he's okay even though he said his chest is crushed by water pressure. It's fine. You know what? They say the bends is awful, but I think they're probably exaggerating. Most says, slight spooked, I'll take it. It's pretty spooky. Also, I feel like ChatGPT might have just been borrowing from the IMDb page for The Abyss with that one. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie. Smo, if you want to experience thalassophobia, you should definitely watch The Abyss. I think that might ruin your life. It's a pretty good movie. But anyway, that was different. Well, it says, monster grabs person and brings them down to them. Also, monster, you shouldn't have come here. Look, the monster's ways are beyond our ways, Lala. You can't possibly comprehend the dimensional chess they're playing. I can also tell, like, ChatGPT was really trying to make it extra scary for people with thalassophobia. It was like just like really going like down the checkbox. Like, what are like the scary, like what are the possible reasons somebody could be like scared of the ocean? Check, 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 check. So it says, nah, I found a clip on YT that ruined me. CGI vid of a giant siren dragging a small boat down. That'll do it. Well, it says some of these CGI Thalassophobia videos are ugh, terrible. Yeah, those will mess you up, no doubt. Alrighty here, let's see here. I feel like did somebody else vote for the drowned ones? Did they miss that one maybe? Because we already read that one. Especially the big faces coming up at boats. Yeah, that's never good. That never feels happy. But yeah, I think that'll probably. So it says, "Yup, hate that." So I think we're gonna probably just call it there for today. I just kind of want to do like an hour-ish stream tonight or today, whatever time it is, because I just wanted to test to see if this would work at all. And then I don't know. Would people like to do more scary story streams in the future? Like, is this fun for people? Is this silly? Is there something else you'd prefer, perhaps? Oh, says this was fun. Okay, it was chill. Yeah, I want to do like a just chill story time. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I want to set up the format. So, I kind of like having just like the campfire, like the spooky vibes. Overall, A+. Only critique is to add a logo or something to fill that bottom blank. Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll need to do something. I also like cause I've got like my phone on the side to like look at how it looks on the live. I thought like the chat, like I was worried like the chat would kind of pop up there. So I thought that's how it worked on live streams, but maybe it doesn't work that way. So maybe I can like either put chat there, or I can, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I like the idea of doing this as a vertical just because it can be a bit more cozy, you know? Bit different, bit more fun. Anyway, thanks for joining for this little experiment. Um, yeah, probably won't do this like maybe like once or twice a month or something. Not super often, but just like as something a little bit different to play with now and again. And yeah, I think the next proper stream will be tomorrow, Sunday. Playing Dredge, more of the Thalassophobia. As I see on phone looks good. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, again, it's all experimenting, trying to see how things work or not. And if it's not, then we'll fix it. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Hope you have a fun rest of your day. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Have a good one. Bye bye. Sleep well. How do I end the stream this one?